Good morning. I'm Sheila Elwardani, and this morning I'm standing here in Jacksonville Cemetery in Floyd County, Virginia, atop of the Blue Ridge Mountains on a foggy September morning. I'm here at the graves of Dr. Callohill Stigleman and his wife, Ellen Sheeler Stigleman, to discuss this man's view on the post-Civil War years, and the reunion of the nation following the Civil War. Dr. Stigleman stands as one of Floyd County's most respected and honored citizens. He was a dedicated physician, active in county education, the Methodist Church, and local government throughout his life. He served this county his entire life. He was born here a poor boy, put himself through medical school, and returned here dedicated to the citizens of Floyd on the eve of the Civil War. In March of 1861, Dr. Stigleman stood in steadfast support of the Union. Like most Floyd citizens, he had no desire to see Virginia leave the United States. However, the events of April 1861 changed his mind, and he placed his deeply held patriotism with Virginia and Floyd. The events of April 1861 changed the hearts of many Virginians and Floyd County citizens. On April 12th, the nation launched into war with the firing on Fort Sumter. This was followed on April 15th by Abraham Lincoln's call for 75,000 volunteers for the Army to put down the rebellion. Most Virginians saw this as a direct threat to invade their state with an army, which truly it was. The Virginia Secession Convention was being held in Richmond at that time. On April 17th, Floyd's representative, who had been a staunch Unionist to date, voted to secede, and Floyd prepared for war. Dr. Callohill Stigleman organized the first company of men to join the Confederate Army. The Floyd Rifleman mustered in as Company A of the 24th Virginia. Dr. Stigleman became Captain Stigleman and served for 1 year, till failing health and the need for a doctor here at home called him home. Following the war, he dedicated himself to healing the wounds of war and reuniting the nation. He felt that all men who served in the war served driven by patriotism, and he worked very hard to see the Southern men fully accepted as supporters of Union and the flag. I'm going to read in his own words a speech Dr. Stigleman delivered in 1894 to the veterans at a Confederate reunion here in Floyd. I read now in Dr. Stigleman's own words. Fellow soldiers, ladies of the committee, ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasant duty involving upon me to welcome to Floyd Court House this gathering of Confederate veterans. Yes, welcome, thrice welcome to Floyd. We lay down all our hospitalities free to your embrace. I would that you could feel how welcome you are and how glad we are to have the honor of this assemblage. Again, permit me to say on behalf of the people of Floyd, we bid you welcome to this reunion. These are my native hills. 'Tis here my eyes first beheld the light of day. 'Tis here I would like to transpire the closing scenes of my life. 'Tis here, amid these hills and surrounding blue-capped mountains, that are first to kiss the beams of the rising sun, that many a poor Floyd soldier would have liked to have been, or been in sight of these, when the death pall came upon him and hid forever God's earthly light from his eyes, instead of on some bloody and hotly contested battlefield, or in some Confederate hospital, some distant cheerless Yankee prison, surrounded by strangers and without friends, and there to be buried, instead of the valleys of Floyd that lie between row after row of successive mountain ridges as they pass back from the great Blue Ridge, these valleys traversed by clear crystal-like streams that come gushing out from beneath some towering mountain peak like this, or the little modest spring from beneath some less portentous rocky ledge like this, all covered with moss and ferns and intermingling vines, where the dark cool shade as the gurgling waters go gamboling off on their long march to the mighty ocean. But as these waters return again and descend in gentle showers to revive our parched fields, So let the memory of our dead soldiery return today and revive our drooping spirits. There is life yet to live, a country yet to serve, and today our dead are doing both. For truly I believe that life and service no mortal can escape. But let me get near to the living comrade and offer him, while life gives me the privilege to offer, and him the privilege to accept, Floyd's wide stretch of forest lands, her cool shady groves, her new mown meadows, all covered with a matting of soft green grass. Wherever you look are yours to enjoy. Hard be the heart of that man who wants all God's blessings for his own selfish ends. Such are not my feelings, nor I would trust the feelings of any that surround you. Our humble homes, our little log cabins, our barns and stables are all wide open, or most of them are, for your comfort and to make you feel welcome and happy. And as I said before, but a short space of time and we will, like those who have passed over the river before us, be denied the happy privilege we now enjoy of offering them to you. We say, all hail, yes, all hail this grand collection of people who have assembled together on this reunion occasion. I have heard so much of hard times until I am sick of the word. May easy times rest upon all of you, fraught with God's most choice blessings. It is a good thing to come together as a reunion of Confederate soldiers, but for the spirit that makes this gathering possible, no comrade's widow would now enjoy her little mite of $40 a year. Surely, if the Northern soldier can meet in their reunions and claim that it is a comfort and an enjoyment to them, is the Southern soldier to be denied this privilege in the land of the free? Are you teaching your children to be vassals and slaves to such hypocritical cant? Teach them, as I said at Rocky Mount, that when you took up arms for your state in '61, you were obeying the organic law of the land and following the patriotic impulses of your souls that makes the man a volunteer when his hearthstone is in danger. And in doing this, you were only doing what the Northern soldier did. And shall history call him a patriot and you a rebel or a brigand? God forbid. No man born on American soil and raised to manhood in its free air that upholds the sentiment of liberty and union forever can for a moment entertain the sentiment that the Southern volunteer was not moved by the loftiest strains of patriotism that ever roused the soldier's heart. Stand up like men and be not ashamed that you were a soldier in the Confederate Army. As well might falsehood be ashamed of truth, Brutus of Caesar, Judas of Christ, as for a poor mortal man to be ashamed that he was a disciple in the cause of liberty. The liberties that we now enjoy we owe to a soldier's love of country, and we owe much to the Confederate soldier. It is not safe, the time has not arrived in the history of the world, when the nations can do without military power. The strong arm of the military is as necessary to the upholding of a nation as the police force is to the freedom and happiness of New York or any other city. The government of the United States, so dear to every American citizen, could not stand 24 hours if she was denied the support and protection of her military power. What think you of that state of society in free and happy America when some mogul or chief or controlling head of an order concludes that in his opinion things are not going on in the United States to suit him? And he orders all the men in his lodge, order, or whatever you call it, to cease from work on a certain day and hour. And when the day and hour rolls around, that order is obeyed with as much promptness and servitude as ever did an old-time Virginia slave obey his master. But that is not all. These idle men turned out upon the highways get into serious trouble. They destroy railroads, blockade the commerce of cities, destroy lives, burn millions of dollars worth of property, and to save these very people before me from anarchy and give protection to the rights of your property, peace in the land of your homes, the military is called out by the constituted authority of the government. It is only the ignorant and the timid that can be frightened by the reunion of soldiers. I must congratulate you, my fellow comrades, that the scenes of rapine and riot, disaster and destruction, pillage and murder are not around our beloved Richmond, but away out yonder in the mighty city of Chicago, which took the great World's Fair of 1893 in her lap and handled it like a toy. Wondrous city. Yes, these scenes are far away from dear old Richmond, where youth tired and footsore tramped in her defense, for whom you willingly bled, hungered and suffered. Oh, Richmond, Richmond, how my mind goes back to those dark days of suffering, groaning, dying, for once green sods, then bare and brown by the tramp of contending armies. A city with more than 1,000 bunks filled with one-armed and one-legged soldiers. Poor suffering men, how well I remember the sad smile, the silent tear when you would come out for the first time from under the influence of chloroform and realize that your arm or leg was gone. Behold the pyre of arms and legs, a free will offering contributed by you upon the shrine of her liberty. Oh, Richmond, this sacred dust is in your keeping. It lies entombed in your bosom, and well I know with jealous care you will guard the treasure. Oh, Richmond, Richmond, live and last forever. For over those bunks of helpless wounded, and from every flagstaff in that city, proudly and defiantly floated the Confederate flag, and for that flag those heroes fought, and were fighting still with the greatest heroism that ever crowned an army of soldiers. But alas, poor Richmond fell, bleeding at every pore. Your bravery, dear comrades, could do no more, and Appomattox closed the scene. The war was over, the stride ended, God reigned, and the folds of white banner of peace spread over this land of ours. Oh, blessed peace, reign noble and reign forever. Guide us, great God, as a nation that in paths that lead from war, and the noble deeds that adorn and elevate the heart of man, the magnanimity and grandeur of our Southern heroes that you so often noticed during this late strife, let us continue to emulate, never forget, but cultivate as our heritage of ours. And let us not forget the noble acts of the soldiers on the other side, the noble traits of the heart of that noble soldier, General Ulysses S. Grant, on the occasion of the surrender of the matchless and immortal Robert E. Lee. See the heart of Gordon as it rises in stateliness in the United States Senate the other day, as he stood in his place in the Senate chamber when they were discussing the Pullman car riots in Chicago. He said, "I stand here not as a Southern man, but as an American citizen. And I wish my voice could range through the heart of every lawbreaker on this continent when they say that the men who wore the gray from 61 to 65 and confronted the stars and stripes will not be found side by side with those who wore the other uniform, following that flag and upholding the dignity of the country over which it floats." Now a few remarks and I will close. I'm getting old to be enough to be on the retired list. I must beg that I be relieved in the coming time of calling another reunion. The burdens and vexations are too great for one of my age. This makes the third I have called him Floyd. But if I am too old, is there not some noble son of some brave Confederate veteran, when I am gone, and my voice forever hushed, that will call another? For may my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth, ere it ever shall be used in deriding the Southern soldier or the cause. Though I am glad, and truly glad, that our country is one, and we live under one government, that the stars and stripes still float over the land of the free and the home of the brave, and that today the most loyal men to that flag live south of the Mason-Dixon line. And may each of the states represented by this circle of grace and beauty love, honor, and protect each other. And now, young ladies, before we part, I want you to look into the face of these old veterans and tell me if you think they are the daredevils that history has and is still recording them to be. If history is telling the truth in the pension office at Washington City, there never was an army of men gathered together under the sun, engaged in civilized warfare that crippled, disabled, and killed as many of the enemy as these poor, sleepy, and innocent-looking creatures have done. Why, the fact is, I venture to assert, that there are today more than 5 times as many pensioners on the rolls and trying to get on claiming disabilities from wounds received in our late war than now live a Confederate soldiers in the entire South. Then it is not quantum enemy that is writing your bravery as lasting as a granite shaft on Libby Hill. This was a speech Dr. Callohill Stigleman delivered in 1894, and he was speaking to an assemblage that was even then working to place a statue in the county to honor all Civil War dead and veterans, North and South, who fought to protect the nation and their homes. Thank you.